Good morning, students. Let us take lesson number 1, a period of transition. The period between the end of the medieval age and the beginning of the modern age is regarded as a period of transitions. And this period differed from country to country depending on the condition of the developments of that country. In Europe, the modern age is said to have been begun in the 15th century, and in India, it began in the mid-18th century. Certain types of development took place in Europe, like the decline of feudalism was there, which was the base of life during the medieval periods. The peace and freedom that prevailed after the decline of feudalism favored the growth of new learning. The Crusades provided impetus to trades and commerce and increased the trades between Eastern and Western countries. At the same time, the Crusades and expansion of trade and commerce, Europeans came in contact with Eastern civilization also. Artists and scholars began to rediscover and revive their past history in art, architecture, literature, and philosophy. In order to increase commercial contact with the Eastern country to earn more profit and to fulfill the consumer demands for Oriental's good, many voyages were taken, and this discovery of routes started taking place. The church, which dominated the medieval society, suffered a setback when a number of strong monarchs challenged the non-religious power of the church. There was developments in Europe also in the period of Renaissance is known as the Renaissance means the new birth or rebirth. Development also took place in India, like the decline of Mughal Empire was there, the third battle of Panipat was fought by that band, and the inability of the Marathas to replace the Mughals. Now let us talk about the resources, the sources. There are two types of sources, the primary sources and the secondary sources. In the primary sources provides direct or first-hand evidence about an event. They include the following. Official records are there, the paper of government against a different level. Then the records of European companies like those of the Portuguese, Dutch and French are useful for constructing the history of the 17th and the 18th century. At the same time, contemporary literary work was there, such as memoirs, biographies, travelers' accounts, and which provides useful glimpses in the history of the period. Newspaper and periodicals were there, which gave a lot of information about the English and about the Indians in the English and the Indian languages. Photographs, films, audio, video tapes of different events and interviews of famous personalities are included in the primary sources. Painting, drawing, sketch and engraving of the periods are the primary sources. According to the secondary sources, they are the sources produced by using the primary sources. The primary sources, as we know, provide first-hand informations, and the secondary sources involve generalizations, analysis, and interpretations of the original information. Historical work written by contemporary historians and the social economic details given in the literary work such as novels, poem, play, extras give a lot of information about the periods. So these are the two sources that give us information about the developments that took place in the period of transactions. About the Renaissance means rebirth or revivals or of the past history. It is a moment used that begins in Italy in the 14th century and later spread to the other part of the European countries. There are humanism, some of the important features of Renaissance are humanism, spirit of inquiry, rationalism, glorification of human forms. And the impact of Renaissance were there. The artists of the Renaissance period freed themselves from the medieval rulers and tradition regarding religious themes and colors. Now since they start asking the questions why and what, and they wanted to know the reasons of everything that was imposed upon them, so they also start in the paintings and in their architectures they start using the different types of colors and themes. So it was a rebirth for the scholars and the sculptors of the times. The second important Renaissance led to the use of local language. Different types of local languages were used instead of the Latins in the medieval age. It also increased scientific observations and experimentations. The people start having scientific observations and they start experimenting of different things. A German scientist called John Kepler proved that the Earth and other planets moves around the Sun, not in a circle but elliptical orbit. Galileo invented the telescope, and Isaac Newton discovered his famous law of gravitation. There were many other discoveries made during the times. So there was total experience and experimental in the field of science. The architectures of the Renaissance period freed themselves from the medieval rulers and traditions and constructed beautiful monument churches, monasteries and palaces. One of the important examples of this St. Peter Church in Rome is an excellent example of Renaissance architectures and design and decorated by Michelangelo. This is about Renaissance. Now let us talk about Reformation. Reformation is a name given to a group of religious movements of the 16th century launched by the Christians against the various drawbacks of the church and the objectionable practice of the clergymen. So they start targeting the popes, the main highest authority of the church. Before Renaissance, the people used to believe everything, whatever was told by the church or whatever was said by the church. When Renaissance came, they realized that they have to find the reason of everything that was happening. So they start objecting the theory that was produced by the church. And the Reformation broke out in a numbers of countries like England, France, Germany, Czechoslovakia, Switzerland and Scotland. There are many causes that led to Renaissance. People were dissatisfied with some of the practice of the Catholic Church, because now the priests living in the Catholic Church start living a very luxurious life, and there was many other buying of pardon certificates called indulgence were there for the sin committed in the life and after their death. Some corrupted practice like charging fee for every transaction in life from birth to death was started, and fee for the peace of the soul and fee for the soul of the peace. People died long ago was there. So they says that in order to obtain salvation, you have to pay the fees, which was not liked by many people, and they start objecting to it. Pope interference in the political affair was resented by the rulers. Now the popes start interfering in the political administrations of the rulers, which was not liked by the rulers, and they also turned against the church. So the spirit of new learning, the spirit of inquiry developed by the Renaissance broadened the mental outlook of the people, and they questioned everything, including the authority of the Pope and the church, which I have just told you. At the same time, there were many German clergymen and professors who start questioning the authority of the church. So there was reformations in the different part of the country. Counter-reformation was also there, and voice and discovery that was made during led to the revival of interest in geography explorations. The man of the period begins to doubt the well-accepted medieval beliefs that the earth was flat, mass of land. So it was said before that the earth was flat and the sun revolves around the revolves, which theory was discarded, and now the scientists start discovering that it is the earth and the planets that moves around the sun, and the sun is stationary. So this is about the reformations, and next we will talk about industrial revolution.